Okay, I'm here with head coach Dave Miller of the KCU Lady Knights softball team. And coach, when we last talked, you were on the field. You just won the region tournament. In the time that that has passed since then, tell us a little bit about your level of excitement for this tournament, and also your kids.
Oh, yeah, they're through the roof. Obviously, I don't think they realize the magnitude of the accomplishment at the moment, and I think it's starting to sink in a little bit as we start to prepare for some of the teams we'll be facing, as well as our travel plans and stuff. But one of the things that I can tell you is through our practice, there was a completely different level of anticipation, and that was exciting for me as a coach.
Okay, I would anticipate that would be the case, because they understand what's at stake here.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you start looking at some of the opponents and thinking about what's ahead to win a World Series. I think it's a daunting task, to say the least, but it's also one that this is what we work all year for.
When you have the the term World Series in there, boy, doesn't that take on just a life of its own?
It sure does. I walked into campus today and saw the banner, and I was like, wow, this is our 5th year. And one of the things we wanted to do when we started this program was to hang a few banners. And I can't think of a better way to end this year than adding another banner to the one that we brought in this week.
That sounds good to me. When we talk about the World Series, we now have the pairings and the matchups from the field. Tell us a little bit about the overall structure of the tournament, so that the people at home might be able to understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, this is a format that is used in Little League. It's used at the Little League World Series. It's used even in the NCAA World Series, whereas you play in pools. And the top 2 teams from each pool will then advance to a Final Four setting, with the winner of one pool and the runner-up of one pool playing the winner of the other pool and the runner-up of the other pool, and going through those 2 games for a champion. So you could conceivably have a winner and a runner-up from the same pool.
Yes.
So it's an interesting concept, but it also gives you a guarantee of games. So we'll play 3 games no matter what, and then we'll go from there.
So you will play each team in your own pool.
That's correct.
And then that will establish the records for and possible tiebreakers, and that's sort of
that can get really dicey, because you think 2 wins should serve you well, but it just depends on several teams can have 2 wins, and then you get into tiebreaker situations, runs allowed, runs scored, and it goes all the way down probably to a coin flip for a tiebreaker, and I sure would hate to come home on a coin flip.
Well, isn't that the truth? Okay, it looks like that you have been placed in Pool A. Pool A contains the number 1 seed, Erskine College, the number 4 seed, Concordia University out of Michigan. Then the number 5 seed is Southwestern Assemblies of God University, and then ourselves at the 8th seed. Looking at your half of the draw in Pool A, what are your initial thoughts?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be a daunting task. I mean, Erskine, looking over their stats and some of their number 1, their D2, and that means they're going to be bigger, but it doesn't mean that they're not beatable. It just means that we have to work harder, but they pitch it well. I believe they've won. They're a 30-game winner this year. I think that it'll be a nice test for us, and all of these teams will be. You don't get to this juncture in your season and find an easy team to play.
Right.
So, we're preparing, my challenge to my kids is we're not playing the team in the dugout across from us. We're playing ourselves. Let's go play our game and do what we know how to do and see how it shakes out.
I believe you open up with the number 1 seed on, I believe that's Wednesday the 15th.
Yes, at noon.
At noon. And, when you open up with number 1, you're going to get a pretty good gauge of where you are.
Absolutely. I would think, depending on how we handle that game, we should feel, we should know where we're going to be. By the end, of course, we follow that right up with the number 4 seed right after that. So, later in the day, but we should have a pretty good idea, pretty good gauge on what it's going to take to take care of trying to win this World Series.
Yeah. You've had some really good performances from kids on your team. Would you like to highlight any of those players going into the tournament, and what you might need from that leadership and those individuals who have performed for you all year very well, and what you might need out of them moving forward?
Well, Summer Collins, our center fielder, she's she goes into this World Series after 55 games hitting .520, I believe, with 45 stolen bases. She's had a phenomenal, one of the best kids I've ever coached in terms of defensive and offensive ability and speed. She's going to have to keep leading us, and I don't expect anything less. Our pitching's going to have to be better than it has been even. There's been times our pitching's been phenomenal, but this is probably going to be one of those times where it has to even be better than that. Our defense, our ability to make decisions, our ability to live in the moment and know what we're doing. Those are things that we're working on really hard. And you think after 55 games, those things should iron out a little bit. But when you're starting as many freshmen as we are, that's not the case. And so hopefully some of those things will kick in. Because as far as I'm concerned, these freshmen are now sophomores. So hopefully they'll play as such.
Yeah. Well, you've talked about the number 1, number 4 seed. Also, the number 5 seed is in your pool. A team from Waxahachie, Texas.
Yeah.
So we've got people from South Carolina, Michigan, Texas, and then good old Kentucky represented there. I don't know the level of scouting that you've had time to do now, but any thoughts on any of those teams as far as preparation?
Well, SAG-U, as we call them, because we don't want to say that whole name. They're an interesting team, and as I've broken them down, they are an NAIA team like we are, and they played the number 1. They happen to be blessed by being in the same conference as the number 1 team in the NAIA, and that's the Science and Arts of Oklahoma school that lost. I think they're 52-1 this year, and in both of their games with them this year, one was 1-0, one was 2-1.
Ooh.
So I know that they have somebody that can throw the ball. And looking at some of their stats, that held up. But I've also noticed that they have periods like every other team that maybe they're not scoring runs abundantly. So, but by looking at their schedule and their stats, they're definitely going to be another team that like I said before, there's not an easy team here.
Yeah.
But we all have our moments, and it looks like this team could be, a really tough team as well.
Well, Coach, I just want to thank you for sitting down with us and talking about this. You leave, I believe, next week, early part of next week?
Monday morning.
Okay. And we just want to wish you good luck on your trip, and we'd love to see you come back with one of those banners like what you were talking about.
Well, we'd love to bring one back, and maybe we can just reserve this time next year to do this again.
I'd like that. All right, Dave.
Thank
Thank
you
you very much.